So what
Yep.
is your email address?
Ready? HDTV
Yep.
at USA.com. Yep.
HDTV@USA.com.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you're getting some shots of him.
Yep, exactly. And you sit down just for a second, just like as if I was getting you,
Like he's getting me.
yeah, like as if you're in the, like say, like, you know, like I got to, you know, I got to go walk the dogs and gotta get home, something like that.
I gotta go home and walk the dog. Who let the dogs out?
I just got a disturbing message, Jeff, from Maggie from Eric Singleton's team that has some validity to it.
Hold on a second.
I'm just kind of disturbed.
Is it relevant to anything that we experienced today or something like personal between you two?
No, it's not personal. I just got one of my friends on a television show, My Ghost Story, representing Bobby Mackey's, which I'm actually like a Bobby Mackey's expert. I've been there 14 times. I brought him to be there once. And they picked him to be on the show instead of me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, well, they wanted somebody that's naive and that's willing to go along with all their dust orb photos, and I wouldn't.
Right.
You're not very naive.
They wanted me to literally admit that the photos they were showing me were not dust orbs, that they're spirits, and I had a little bit of a conflict there, and Eric went along with it. But I just got an email from one of his members that they've all left the team because of him. He's a fame whore, wants to get on TV, and is willing to walk all over anyone who can do that. And I got a message from him yesterday about how much we're such good friends and thank you for everything, and he owes me the world. But
Isn't that funny how that happens?
it just sucks because he's actually a really good friend of mine, and he knows how hurt I was that he was selected for the show over what he was willing to say that I was. I don't know.
That's weird.
It's an internal thing. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, do I have to start faking evidence to talk
No,
about
you
the
don't.
knowledge
No.
of?
Stick to your integrity. It might be a tougher road, but it'll work out in the end.
It just
Actually,
sucks because everyone in the world's gonna say, "Why isn't she on the Bobby Mackey's
I actually
episode
get some
again?"
comments from the chat room. People are very vocal about it being available to kids.
Oh,
Seems to be a very common thread
It's
in the chat.
well. As
Cool,
we know,
that's kind of my
there's
whole
there's
thing.
a direction that there's a direction this is going. So that's perfect.
Yeah. I mean, that was to be honest, it was me shopping for my kids one Christmas and just being like, I love the Ouija board and I think it should exist, but like, why for my 8-year-old? Like, what purpose could it possibly serve? You know, I just, you know, and again, was that?
It's fun as hell at
I
you know
mean,
how many of my friends have little.
my 9-year-old just got a training bra. Like, she doesn't need the Ouija on top of the training bra. I mean, honestly, I just don't think she needs that burden. And like you said it very, very nicely, like the hormones, like, I'm really identify with that. She's 9 years old, and I'm just like, damn right, I don't want her dealing with
It's a
spirits.
fact. You know, they're hormonally out of whack and crazy, and they don't think logistically like we are because they're not programmed to. We can't, as adults, expect them
Yeah.
to be at our level because they're going from those baby alpha waves to like grown-up beta waves. You know, the whole
Yeah.
brain. Like you think babies sleep all day long.
Right.
They're loaded with melatonin. Their brain waves are a completely different pattern. As you grow out of that, you're changing. And it's just and again, it's another stage for something negative to slip through that little wormhole and work their way into.
Yeah.
I think it gives little kids personality. Yeah.
Have you ever had?
Yeah, like Leonard Blair.
I think it gives you something to talk about. Most people say, "Oh, my kid's in the soccer team." No one's running around saying, "My kid's possessed."
I love that.
It's I try like when I'm being interviewed, I try as much as I want to say what you're thinking. For humor's sake, you have to get a little physical with the science and say like what. If she's gonna say something better. Are you playing "In the Butt" by Butters? Really, in the presence of Pop Tart?
I live
it.
You know, there's got to be physical reasons for what you say.
Yeah, I mean,
When you write a book, I'm finding out you can copy and paste anything up to a certain amount of words. You can make a whole novel based on what everybody else has said just by copying and pasting it into a Word doc.
yeah,
But well, it doesn't mean you're an expert in shit.
Sure,
you have
totally.
You have to know what you're talking
You have
about.
to
I listen to
comprehend
all
it.
these kids that are just putting together lectures at these paranormal conventions just to get through the night and collect their paycheck at the end of the day. It's like, what the hell were you just talking about?
oh, we're just
What-
rehashing
What
something.
do you
that's-
mean?
yeah.
It's like we
Wait
just.
till you see the
Are you just
footage of
regurgitating shit that you've heard from the past year from other people?
Totally,
Really?
they are.
such a
Totally they are. I mean, because it takes.
It was
It's, I mean, it's like you're mining diamonds. I mean, to break new ground in that field that you're in takes a hell of a lot of time and work.
It's
And,
exhausting.
and it's
For
shortcuts
what?
are just easier for people, I
I can't
think.
even imagine how Hans Holzer felt. I mean, that guy was a machine.
Who?
Hans Holzer, one of the most famous paranormal investigators. He did the Amityville case.
Okay, with the Warrens, or
With
did
the
he?
Warrens, he
Okay.
worked side by side with them. In fact, Lorraine and Ed Warren were kind of his nemesis, and then they eventually, started to work together. Kind of like they were the only three people on the planet doing ghost hunting.
And what was his deal? Like he was
He was
different
a
than
German
them?
man that came over here that was running experiments. He had a psychic that was a psychic medium, and he loved her, Sybil Lee. And he just worked a lot with her on cases, and it was more. He did a lot of books in his day about his experiences on the road doing different investigations from start to finish, but he had a lot of techniques and theories and a lot of experimentation just to do with hauntings.
Okay.
Hauntings and poltergeist activity. Hans Holzer was one of the first. We're talking in the 70s.
Right.
One of the most notorious for the Warrens, His daughter Alexandra Holzer's now sort of filling his shoes, but not really.
Right.
Kind of living off daddy's shadows.
Right.
Never air, but
He retired or died. Okay.
but Alexandra, she's got 4 kids and she's got a life and she's got hobbies. She'll always be a Holzer.
Right.
Being the daughter of a famous parapsychologist. But those are the books I read when I was a kid.
Right.
Hans Holzer, just growing up, like, oh my god, this guy gets to do that, how cool. When I was a kid, all my friends wanted to be teachers and veterinarians. I wanted to be a ghost hunter. I wanted to be a parapsychologist. The only thing that stopped me was the fact that the Parapsychology Institute was in London. And I knew that in this country I'd never grow up to be a ghost hunter because it was impossible.
But you have
But
become
I
one.
have.
Yeah.
It was a dream come true. I didn't realize that it would be the certain method that I picked it up, but you really can do whatever you want to do.
If you don't give up,
It's not
yeah.
impossible.
No, if you don't give up.
I
mean,
didn't do it to get on television or be in a documentary. Or,
right, of course not.
You don't anticipate that kind of stuff, but if you're good at what you do, I guess one thing leads to another.
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, if you do
What
it.
did you want to do when you grew up?
I mean,
you
right when I got my first video camera, I mean, I grew up with M. Night Shyamalan, so it's like I just make films together in high school together, and then he became huge, and I still was a nobody, but actually my failures, I wouldn't trade them for the world because it just kept making me work. It made me work harder. It made me hungrier. I mean, I kind of thought it would come easier because I had talent, and then I learned, I grew up. I was just like, talent schmalent. I need to work my ass off, and I need to, earn it. And that taught me a lesson, and and then I made a great 4-star award-winning film, and it didn't actually get me a career, and I was a little bitter. And then I said, you know what? That doesn't matter either. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. And it led me to a lot of interesting projects. Right now, I'm making like 3 films simultaneously that I would have never made if I was successful, and they're films that are very personal to me. So again, it's all happens for a reason, I've learned.
My theory is you don't win the lottery unless you buy a ticket.
That's very true. It's very true.
You can't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket.
You can.
And, you have to just keep trying and trying. It's just like this field. You just work, and it's not like someone's going to call you the first year and say, hey, you look like a great talent. We're going to have you come do
Absolutely.
this. It does not happen that way.
In fact, the opposite. I mean, the more resistance you get, sometimes the more it emboldens you to keep it up, and the more, like, we were learning about Monopoly, the greatest, board game ever made. It was rejected, and they said there was 52 errors in it. And, for me as a filmmaker, my work's been rejected, my scripts, and it's somehow that, as much as that sounds like a negative, my parents didn't want me to do it and all that. My in-laws called me a trash man. What's that? It's what I want to do, and all that gave me the armor to kind of push on, and I know that there'll be a day when everything cuts my way, and that's worth all the money in the
You're
world.
young. You've got a whole life ahead of you. I mean,
40. I'm not young, but I'm young at heart. I'm young at heart, and that.
You're still young in the field.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. It's not like I'm, a basketball player. You're right.
Supermodel's got to be between, under 18.
Right. I mean,
before
Robert
the
Altman
film is
was
over.
Robert Altman was making, corporate videos till he was something like 50 years old, and then
Yeah, I don't-
broke through. So yeah. I'm not worried about. And again, because this technology, I mean, like if you can remember this, go to the graduationpartymovie.com. Just try to remember
Graduation party movie.
that. .com. And there's a 3-minute fiction trailer of a film I made in 3 days for $101 with 25 actors from New York, all from Juilliard.
Really?
And what it shows is what one person with $100 and this camera can make, and you'll be impressed. You'll say that looks good.
We all know that that's possible. We've seen Blair Witch, we've seen Paranormal Activity.
But they looked a little bit. Part of their thing was to look a little rough.
Right.
This movie, what I'm just telling you, looks like a real $3 million movie. It looks slick. It looks beautiful. Like today.